Welcome to the Now to Next podcast, where every week we provide wisdom on how to press play after a traumatic pause. If you are starting up or starting over in any area of your life or your business, subscribe and listen as we share real life stories from actual people who have pressed play and are winning after nearly losing it all. And now, your host, Octoria Robinson.
Are you ready to press play today? Let's get rocking, friends. Join me in welcoming Elizabeth Hunter. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
We're so pumped to have you today. How is the weather in California?
Very cold.
We're envious of you down here in Florida, just to let you know. So, do you mind helping our listeners who are tuning in today just to learn a little bit more about the awesomeness of Elizabeth?
Okay. As you know, my name is Elizabeth Hunter. My story is about my daughter. When I first had my daughter, I was about 26, and at the age of 2 months, she got admitted into the hospital. And, you know, I was so scared. My family was scared. We didn't know what was going on. I had lost my place in that time. I lost my apartment. I had lost pretty much everything. I lost my job. When we were in there, I had found out that she had a valve replacement.
Wow. Elizabeth, I want to help our listeners. Share with us who you are. Like, wow, that you dived right into the jugular of your story, but I want them to connect with Elizabeth, aka Lizzie. So if you hear me going from Lizzie to Elizabeth, it's a name that she connects with as well. So who is Elizabeth?
I am a singer. I grew up in Berkeley, California, of course. I grew up in a household where it was just my mom as a single parent. She had got a divorce from my dad. I grew up with two older sisters. My grandfather played a big role in my life. He played, you know, like he was my father. My dad was still always around. He never left. I was like a community leader in my community.
Wow.
Since I was about 16.
Oh, God bless you, sweetheart.
Yeah. I used to sing. Pretty much my voice was my way to, you know, connect with people. When I would sing, they would connect with me. Like with police officers, I used to go and sing at their functions. Just pretty much all over, you know, Berkeley. Everybody knows me in Berkeley from me singing. I'm like this quiet little girl.
So when you think about a person who's been a community leader since she was 16, I know and realize based off the things that you shared that there were some disadvantages that you grew up with. Some may think that Lizzie had a pretty clean start to her life, and man, the sky must be the limit for her, and everything's going to be epic. Has that been how your story's been?
When I met my daughter's dad, I thought, oh, everything's going to work out. You know, we're going to get married. We're going to have this big old family.
How old were you then?
I was 22.
Okay. So at 22, you met him.
Yes, I was in college, in community college, and, you know, I met him at my job when I worked for the city of Berkeley Park and Recreation. Yeah, I thought everything was going to go, you know, really good. He has cheated on me. He has lied to me. He has hurt me, like, deeply. Not physically, but just his actions and what he did. I kept trying to give him a chance, thinking that, you know, everything was going to work out. but it didn't. And when I even let him move in with me, that was the wrong thing. I moved out of my mom's house, and I was like, oh, yay, I got my own place. You know, it's all going to work out. Then when I got a phone call, he said he lost his place and he had nowhere to go. So, of course, you know, me, I let him in, how nice I am. I let him in. Then, of course, we had my daughter. And then that's where the big story starts.
Talk to us about Malia.
When Malia was born, at first, I didn't know. I kept her a secret. I kept her a secret for a while. When I was 6 months, I had told everybody. And so I wasn't on any medical treatment. Like, I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't do anything.
So why did you keep her a secret?
Because I was scared. I was scared of what people thought. I was scared because, you know, I'm 26. You know, I'm still figuring out who I am. I'm still, you know, learning me and what I want to be in life. And when I told everybody, everybody was like, it's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. She's not a mistake. It's okay. And they prayed. I got prayed over. They prayed over my belly. And the minister kept saying, miracle, miracle. Wow, that's all I keep hearing is a miracle. And, you know, I didn't know what she was talking about. I was just like, wow, miracle. Okay, yeah, my baby's going to be a miracle baby. Okay, cool. You know, I didn't really know what she meant by miracle. You know, I'm still young. I'm like, you know, fresh, trying to figure stuff out. You know, I'm nervous about having a kid. I'm like, ooh, oh my goodness. And so, when she was about 8 or 9, when I was about 8 or 9 months pregnant, they couldn't find a line in her heart. And I kept asking, okay, well, what's the line? And they said, it's a part of her heart. And you know what? I don't see it. So then in my 9th month, they had me to come back and have another checkup. They did an ultrasound. And then the guy told me at Kaiser Hospital, oh, we see it. But I couldn't get a picture of it. And I said, oh, okay, you see it, but you couldn't get a picture. I said, well, can you try again? So he had me to turn over, but Malia's arm was blocking it. So he couldn't get a picture. But he wrote down that he did see it. So
what did that line represent again?
It was part of her valve.
Wow. So once you had Malia, were there any difficulties that you ran into?
When I first had her, no. She came out, they told me she was healthy. But when she turned 2 months, I went for another checkup. And the lady told me the doctor told me, oh, well, she's okay. I said, well, she has this deep cough. And me and my mom were a little worried about that deep cough. Like, can we give her anything? Is she sick? And she said, well, just put a 24-hour watch on her. Let's just watch her for 24 hours. And if she get worse, then just bring her back in. And so me and my mom are looking like, huh? And, you know, we were confused. We didn't know what the doctor was talking about. And then the doctor said, we don't want to put her under any radiation lights. And I said, okay, but I want to make sure she's okay. And she said, well, let's just do a 24-hour watch on her and call me if there's anything, you know, wrong. And I said, okay. So me and my mom, we left. And we came home, and later on that night, that's when we found out she was turning gray around about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. She was turning gray, and me and my sister, we rushed her to the hospital. And when we did that, I came. Ooh, this is kind of hard for this part. When we started driving, the car got slow. And my sister turned around, and I knew it wasn't her. Just the look in her face, I just knew it wasn't her, and I knew it was, you know, It was like a spirit. And when I started praying, the car started moving quicker.
Wow.
And then I prayed again, and then it started moving quicker. And at first, like I said, it was going really, really slow. And
all while Malia's gray.
Yeah, I was like, wow, she's great. She's like not really breathing. Like she's looking at me, like scared. She's a baby.
Oh my goodness.
She was only 2 months. So it's like her skin color was getting darker. And when I was praying, the car started going faster, faster, and faster. And then we finally made it to the emergency room. And I walked in there. I walked in the Children's Hospital because that was the closest hospital to us. And they immediately took her. I was all like, oh, my gosh, I said, my baby's turning gray. And then all of a sudden they yelled, code blue, code blue, code blue. And then they just immediately grabbed her out of the car seat, took her, and then they were asking me all kind of questions. And I didn't want to answer any questions because I was scared for her. And so I told my sister, I said, please, 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 just whatever questions they had, you know my daughter, just tell them. All her information, just tell them. And I'm sitting there and I'm praying. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I called my dad, and I told him what was going on, and he was kind of helping me through while they were still working on her. Then they told us, okay, we have her. We want you guys to go upstairs to the waiting room. And they immediately put her in the ICU. Now, they still didn't tell me what was going on, but they immediately put her in ICU. And when they did that, the doctors came out and they told me and my sister, they said, well, right now we don't know what's going on, but we have sedated her. She's okay right now. The doctors will come in and, they'll talk to you in a little bit. They're going to do some tests on her. And, of course, I'm like, okay, she's okay. I calmed myself down. I was like, okay. Whew, she's okay. Really, and then I started praying. I said, I hope it's not serious. I really hope it's not that serious. And then they asked me, what happened, and I told them exactly what happened. I went to Kaiser. That story, I told them what the doctor said. And they said, okay, so she has a cold. I said, I think it's a cold. I don't know what it is, but she has a deep cough. And they said, okay. When they told me I can go back in the room and go see her, they said, now be mindful, we had to, it's not what you want to look at. And then I said, wait, huh? And they said, when you go in there, it's not really what you want to look at. And I started tuning them out, and my sister started talking to them, and I just said, where is she? When I went in there, they had caution tape around her bedside. They had her hooked up to all kind of machines, and they had a tube going down her throat. I'm like, oh, my goodness, what is going on? And I just started praying and praying, and the doctor came in, and he said, yeah, she doesn't look too good. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with her. And so we stayed there that whole night, and then when we woke up in the morning, she was still, in the same condition. And they were telling me, oh, ma'am, you can go home. We got her. I said, I'm not leaving her. I'm not going home. I'm staying right here.
Wow.
And they said, well, she's okay for right now. We will call you. And I said, no, I'm going to stay right here. I said, I'm her mama. How you going to tell me to go home? I ain't one of them parents. Oh, no. I'm not going to leave her with you guys. I need to see what y'all doing at every given time. And they just said, okay, Mom, we understand. Okay. And I'm like, okay, leave me alone now. Just tell me what's going on with her. And they didn't tell me until about a week later what was going on. That's when they found out. They ran a whole lot of tests trying to figure out what was going on, and then they finally did a heart test. And that's when they seen that it was her valve. Now, we are all born with 2 valves, and one of hers wasn't developed all the way. So, and they told me that it was developed. So I'm thinking, okay, everything is okay. But hers was, it was maybe a medium size, and it wasn't moving. It wasn't clicking. And like I said, we are all born with the 2 valves, and they click. And what they do is the valves in our body, it releases the blood throughout our body. So when one of hers wasn't working, the blood wasn't releasing to her body, which caused her to turn gray.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was just nervous. I was scared. I said, okay, so what can we do to fix this? And they said, well, we have to do surgery, but it's a possibility that she's not going to make it.
Oh
I said,
God.
no. I said, she's going to make it.
She's 2 months old, right?
Survive this. I said, she's going to survive this. She's not, I said, she's fine. I was telling everybody. I was telling the nurses. I was telling the custodian people. I was telling people who worked in the cafeteria. I said, oh, no, she's going to be fine. They said, but you're still here. Yep, I'm still here. But she's going to be fine. And so the doctors pulled me to the side again, and this time it was with my mom, my sisters, and her dad. And they said, I'm sorry, Mom, but it's a possibility. We have to tell you this. You have to listen. I said, I'm listening, but I don't want to hear you tell me that my daughter's not going to make it, because she is going to make it. And they said, well, Mom, we have to tell you this. And I said, okay. My mom was like, Lizzie, just let them talk. And I said, okay. And so they're telling me what could happen. And, you know, I started tuning it out because my faith was so strong. I said, oh, no, she's going to make it. Everything that they said, I said, I just kept telling them no. They showed me a picture of her valve, and they said, this is her valve, and this is the valve that we have to put in. So I'm praying. So it gets closer to the day of her surgery. And then they tell me, we don't have a valve to fit your daughter.
Wow.
And so, of course, I started crying. And I said, come on, y'all. Y'all got one. I said, no, y'all got one. And they said, okay, we have to do some calls. You know, we have to call around. So they called UCSF San Francisco Hospital. And one of their students actually made a valve. And they made it small enough to fit her body, because they said normally these things only happen to people who are in their 60s, people who are in their 70s, when they have to do these type of heart surgeries. And so when they told me that they found a valve to fit her, they didn't tell me who made the valve. You know, I would love to connect to the person who made that valve. But they made it, and it's a machine.
Wow.
And so they were able to do the surgery, and they put the machine in her heart, and they said everything worked out. And so, of course, I'm screaming, I'm rejoicing. I'm like, yes, I'm running down the hall, just praising God, because I said, I knew it. I knew she was going to be okay. I knew it. And they said, but her condition is still, you still have to
monitor it.
Yeah, you still have to monitor it. You still have to, keep an eye on her. But we will put the new valve in. And so they did. They put the valve in. She had her surgery. She came back. But she was still in there. And I said, okay, why are we still here? And so I started praying again. And what came to me was, you're here for a reason. And so I told my mom, I said, Mom, I heard that I'm here for a reason. And my mom was all like, yeah, you probably are. And I started praying, and I said, no, Mom, really, I'm serious. And then I started seeing all these little babies come in the ICU, a whole lot of babies. And I said, wow, look at all these young lives. Like, why are they here? They don't need to be here.
Wow.
So, of course, my baby is still, recovering, and she hasn't woke up yet. And so I'm all like, oh, my goodness. So I started praying for every little baby that was in ICU. And so, of course, we're still there. So I started praying, and then one baby got released. I said, oh, thank you, Lord. She was able to go home.
Wow. So it sounds like Malia's story became a miracle for a lot of other babies that need miracles in that same hospital. I am speechless, and I know our listeners are used to it being more of a conversational type of interview, but I was captivated by the story of your strength, your resilience, your faith, and dedication in spite of all of the odds and the medical statistics that support it. It not turning out into a positive end for you or your baby, but you held fast. And I know there are people that are listening, Lizzie, that are probably thinking, I don't know if I could do that if I were there, or maybe I'm right there and I can't. I want to give up. I'm hopeless. I'm overwhelmed. I'm over-inundated by the reality of what I'm walking through, and I am just stuck. We are going to invite Lizzie back for a part 2, guys. I don't want to miss out on those critical pieces that are going to inspire and motivate and help you press play at such a delicate place. Because I'm a mama bear of 5 kids, and I could not imagine having one of my babies at 2 months old in the hospital with caution tape around them. I couldn't. And the fact that you have lived and Malia's a ball of joy, I know you are going to speak such incredible strength into families. So listeners, this is part 1, where it ends on Lizzie being now a vehicle that God's using to bless other babies while her baby remains in the ICU. You must tune in to part 2, because we are going to hear about the second surgery, how she was able to navigate the financial obligations that came with this unexpected challenge in her baby, and how God gave her the strength to be the woman that she is and the mom that she is to Malia in spite of all she's walked through. You got to tune in, guys. There is a part 2 that's certainly going to bless you. For now, listeners, I'd like to let Lizzie explain how you can connect and grow with her and see the beautiful Malia yourself in the images that she puts out on social media. Lizzie, how can people connect with you?
They can connect with me on my Facebook or my Instagram. My Facebook is my name, Elizabeth LaRay Hunter. You can find me like that. My picture is a redhead. You can also check me on Instagram. My Instagram is Lizzie Life, which it has all the pictures. Even Facebook have all the pictures, and it shows from when Malia was 2 months to all the way where, to her second surgery that we were talking the next.
Yes. Are you ready for that next interview, honey?
Yes.
I need my box of tissue over here, because you are the personification of perseverance. We honor, we celebrate your strength as a woman, as a mom, and we thank you for sharing your story not once but twice with us. So listeners, I need you to know that trauma is not the end of your story. Triumph is. I look forward to connecting with you all soon. Until that time, have an extraordinary day.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast today. For all things Launch Now, log on to launchnowus.com for info on products, resources, and upcoming events. We are looking forward to connecting with you and enriching your life through our next episode. And remember, you have what it takes to press play. Have a super duper epic week.